What is going on, fam? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And wanted to talk about this today, how to plan for Dark Dimension 5. Obviously, of course, we've seen the information. We know Dormammu is going to be beast mode. We've seen the information on what the requirements are for Dark Dimension 5. And of course, I know a lot of players are kind of processing, how do we plan for Dark Dimension 5? So wanted to kind of talk about that today in this video. But instead of going in the approach of, hey, I'm going to tell you what you should do, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do here to prepare for Dark Dimension 5. I'm going to call it the light spenders approach to Dark Dimension 5 here. Now, granted, I'm not necessarily a light spender anymore. I guess you could kind of consider me to be more of a small dolphin in Marvel Strike Force, but a lot of my practices in the game are still very light spender-ish when it comes to just value and resources and how I go about approaching things. So I wanted to talk about sort of just what I'm going to be doing here, and maybe this will resonate with you in regards to how you should also plan for Dark Dimension 5 as well. The first thing I definitely want to say, though, before we kind of dive into a whole bunch of stuff, is that, listen, I think the first thing that you got to do is you got to be patient. Understand that Dark Dimension 5 is extremely late game content, the very end of game content right now that is going to be introduced into Marvel Strike Force. Now, we don't necessarily know when this is going to be released. We're assuming probably next patch is probably when it's going to come up, right? But really, I think that the approach that you're going to want to take overall to everything that you do when it comes to Dark Dimension 5 is that you're definitely going to want to be patient in how you're going about it. Unless you are a whale, unless you are Kraken, unless you're shooting to be top 100, top 1, top 5, top 10, whatever, I wouldn't be overly concerned about it. I think that there's other things that are going to be going on in the game that you're probably going to want to plan for, like doing your raids, because you're going to need to get resources in order to be able to enter into Dark Dimension 5 by doing your Doom 2 raids. I think that those things are a little bit more important. And yes, of course, you kind of think in your mind, okay, well, maybe what characters potentially could be good for these raids that might also be good for Dark Dimension 5. Maybe you can think about that a little bit later on. But then the next step is, of course, planning efficiently, right? How do you do that? So I think a lot of this stuff is going to be obvious. So obviously you have your store buys. What I'm currently doing right now with the store. So you have your main supply store, and then you have your war store where you can kind of grab some items here. I'm actually not really grabbing any resources, any of the augmented gear from the war store, unless it's like miasma or things that I know that some of the characters are definitely going to need. Like I know miasma is going to be a very, very big one, so I do grab that from the war store, but I am prioritizing shards here. But in the actual supply store itself, I am not grabbing these origin gear pieces. Those I'm kind of just gonna get them naturally as I'm going through these Doom 2 raids, but I'm grabbing the mini uniques because I know that these are pieces that we're gonna need in abundance. So I'm grabbing the mini uniques whenever I see them here in the supply store, and also those hero uniques as well. Whenever I see those hero uniques, the augmented hero unique gear, I will make sure that I do grab that as well. Also, equally important is whenever we do have these events, right? So like Lady Deathstrike event right now, whenever we have events like that, it's really important to really kind of plan out efficiently and go kind of all in on making sure that you're grabbing pieces like this augmented gear in the event store or whatever is available there. Whenever for the milestones, plan out what you need to do efficiently in order to be able to get all of these resources in these milestones. And yeah, that's a very important thing for you to do. Plan out, try to be efficient as possible to make sure that you're compiling and getting all of this gear, because you're going to need a lot of it in order to be able to get those characters up and going. You're going to need a lot of gear, right? So whenever these new events roll around, especially if they're going to be giving you augmented gear, this teal gear, it's very important for you to go about making sure that you're kind of maxing out as much as you can do for these events. That's one of the ways that I'm definitely going out. Hey, I'm playing out how many blitz rotations do I need to do? How many arena attacks do I need to do? How many XYZ whatever do I need to do so I can get that augmented gear? And in the supply store for Lady Deathstrike right now, I am pretty much basically just audibling off, grabbing silver phase bits. That does not help me long term. This is more of a cosmetic thing. This does not help me long term, but this right here helps me long term because I know I'm going to need a lot of that gear as well. The next thing I think is also very big to talk about is don't bring anybody to gear tier 16 yet. I really think that this is don't bring anyone to gear tier 16 yet. Seriously, right? I think that there are going to be some exceptions to the rule, probably characters like Silver Surfer and characters like Kestrel are probably locks, right, that you're probably going to want to use. And maybe even Doom, even though Doom could be a little tricky, because if there's going to be some Kestrel in those nodes, then that might get a little wonky. But being that Kestrel should lose her charges here after she takes a turn, once the character is already summoned, you might be okay with being able to get away with throwing Doom in there. But I do think that there's some characters that definitely are the exceptions. But I think that if we've learned anything from these previous Dark Dimensions, that there are always new characters that typically tend to make Dark Dimensions a little bit trivial. Fair, right? Dark Dimension 3, we saw this. Global was the hardest nodes for you to be able to get through here, but they released Emma. Ghost was kind of became like an MVP there. A lot of people started using Phoenix initially, but with Ghost and with Emma, we saw that those global nodes were significantly easier. Now we have Secret Avengers, so probably going to want to go in that direction, right? I think Captain Sam may also be another character that might be kind of a lock just because of how phenomenal he is as a character and what he can do for other characters that are on your team as well. Granted, better with skill, but of course, Captain Sam, I think, kind of one of those top tier characters that may be a lock to go into that content as well. But I still wouldn't even upgrade characters yet. Also, we saw this with Dark Dimension 4. Cosmic was hard. It was hard, man. And then Silver Surfer got released, then Kestrel got released, which made that content trivial, right? It made it fairly like people were struggling really, really hard to get through Cosmic, and then here comes Kestrel, here comes Silver Surfer. Dabros were really good there as well. So realistically, being patient is going to help. Planning efficiently by getting the gear is going to help as well, but also not leveling anyone to gear tier 6, not equipping these little. Hey, I know this is going to be tempting, right? To go in and equip these pieces of gear as you kind of, well, this is probably not teal, but you're going to start getting some teal gear, and equipping those pieces is going to be good. It's going to feel good, but ultimately I think it's best to just wait, because there are going to be new characters that are going to be released that are definitely going to be, that are probably going to make the content not as challenging as what we're probably seeing. There's going to be a lot of players who are going to go into that content and use characters also that are probably cheaper characters, right? That, hey, Sabretooth, we saw that Sabretooth was a good cheap character. Some of the Wave 1 Avenger characters were cheaper characters that you could bring into some of the Dark Dimension 4 content, but turns out that they were not necessarily the best long-term because they didn't help you in certain areas of the game. Like we saw where Doom raids were super important. Hey, Captain America's not really helping you there. Black Widow was helpful, but later on was not really helpful because you kind of got this gear into her that maybe you're not getting the best usage out of anymore, other than probably war defense, or if you're using Skeleton war offense as well, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, it helps to be patient. It helps to watch others go through the content, save and hoard that gear so that you know, hey, this is the right character for me to invest into, sort of moving forward here when you're kind of making your planning on your roster. I think this is kind of sort of like the best way to go. And then the next thing too, we can probably pull it up here, but we saw on the Marvel Strike Force page, and actually let's backtrack a little bit here. These are things, so we already know that the symbiotes are going to be the city nodes are going to be the first ones. And yeah, we're already thinking, hey, symbiotes or new warriors or whoever, right? But you never know. They might introduce new characters that will make city nodes incredibly easier. So I think patience, it just helps to have patience. It helps to wait. There are going to be other players who are going to go and they're going to do the content. They're going to use characters that maybe you probably don't want to invest into as of yet. Yes, Sabretooth sound kind of paid off because now he's a part of the Weapon X team, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I think it's just better to go the safer route by kind of just waiting. Though not going the cheaper route, not bringing anyone to G16 yet until you're absolutely sure where you want to go with getting those characters. And then I think the next step is also sequence planning, right? So I think you're going to want to try to, because the first node has no restriction and then the second node has city, you're probably going to want to plan that accordingly as well once you do get to the point where you do know who you're going to be bringing into Dark Dimension 5. What I did for Dark Dimension 4 is that because the first nodes were global, all my first four characters that I brought in were all global characters, and then my fifth character was a cosmic character because the cosmic character was next. So to start off with, my first 5 characters were 4 global characters and then 1 cosmic character. So I think for this situation, well, you have to do 5 characters per node, right? So I think the first 5 characters that you're going to want to bring in are definitely going to be the city route, because that's going to be just the best efficient way to be able to get through most of the nodes. Yes, you might get stuck after city, but at least you would have brought in 5 city characters and then plan towards bringing in global characters and cosmic and legendary, so on and so forth. Kind of just a better distribution of gear. Kind of planning out that sequence where that is concerned, but I think that's kind of the way that I'm going to be going about it right now. I definitely just think that the patience is going to be the biggest thing that I can preach here, is really just waiting, see what happens with the meta, see what characters become good after they're released. I don't think for City, I don't think the symbiotes are going to be the option. I don't know. I really think that they're going to be some better options available. And I love my symbiotes, man. They're my favorite team in the game. But I think that if you're going around, hey, I'm going to start planning on bringing up my city characters right now. I'm going to start bringing up new warriors and start bringing up the symbiotes. That may not be the best direction to go in until you maybe you get closer to actually being able to enter this content. That just might be the best way to kind of go about it. But listen, I'm rambling on. I'm going to stop now. Kind of curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. I just feel like this is a good light spender sort of approach to it. I think whales and krakens are probably going to start kind of putting some things in place probably earlier. Probably not too, right? But I just feel like this is a good topic to talk about, which I think the overall underlying theme that I'm talking about here is just being patient, just waiting and seeing what happens. But appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you guys for watching the video. Want to know what your guys' thoughts are as well in regards to how you're going to be going about Dark Dimension 5. What are your thoughts overall where this is concerned? But appreciate you guys so very, very much. Love you guys very much. Until next time, y'all be blessed and y'all be safe. Wait, bye. Man, I can't believe I might not be able to use my symbiotes anymore. That's gonna feel bad, isn't it? Oh man, my favorite team. Emotion, sad.